Hello, my absolutely beautiful astrology soulmates, and welcome to this video where we are going to talk about the upcoming new moon in Aquarius, January 29th, 2025. I can't even believe that. So it's just coming in a couple days. And of course, in the right-hand side, you will see the information in case you want to, for your astrology learning, to pull up this chart for yourself and have a look at what is going on. Now, this new moon, I think, is not only in Aquarian vibration, which is already really highly dynamic, but I think that this particular lunation, as with all of them, there's a potency to it. But there are several key aspects that set the stage for us to look at the pattern of how these shifts on a personal and a collective level are looking to play out for us. So hopefully in this video, we're going to be able to break this down, and you can leave this video with an understanding of what this new moon is bringing in for you, not only with the moon itself, not only over the next 4 weeks until we get to the next new moon, but we're also going to look at the cycle, because this actually sets in place in motion a 27-month cycle that you're going to be working on, which you can see right down here in the blue section as well. So when we start talking about this and I start showing you things, I want you to really think about being very choosy at this and every new moon about what you're allowing to be planted in your garden to take seed and to take root. Because if it is at a new moon, you're going to work on that thing for 27 months. So you want to really be choosy, because at the new moon, what we plant in that garden, for good or for ill, it's going to take root, it's going to grow, because the soil is so fertile. Right? Things want to be grown, things want to begin here. But let's jump in and start to talk about this so we can get out. We don't stay all day in the lunation video. So first and foremost, the aspect that's actually happening as we are experiencing this lunation is the sun and the moon are together here conjunct. So when the luminaries are conjunct each other, anything's possible. The sky is dark. We are working on intuition, right? You're just working on intuition, where we have to trust our intuition and then take a little step forward and see what is revealed to us. So we're also getting the sense here at the new moon that we are baby stepping our way intuitively into a world and into situations that we really haven't seen before, but we have to take that step forward in order for the next set of directions to really present themselves. So there's a lot going on here that it's like, I just don't even have the information about what that is yet. Now, in the vibration of Aquarius, this is the sign of innovation, social things, collective progress, but it's also really about breaking free from outdated norms that have been around us, whether they be in our own households or they be at a societal level, okay? So this new moon is again going to ask us to plant those seeds of intention, but it is about future-oriented growth, where we're really going to be called to embrace our own authentic individuality, what we really think, what's really true for us now, while also considering how that connects to the greater whole. And this, as we're going to see as the lunation continues on, is going to have its own particular challenges. But something I want you to think about at this new moon is that what it's really calling to us, or pulling an emphasis in for us, is this idea of rebellion, revolution, and reinvention. Right? Encouraging us to rethink. Aquarius is an air energy. It's fixed air. So we've been thinking about something a certain way for a very long time. And now we're encouraged to rethink our personal goals. What are our personal goals, and how are we aligning, and what are the resources we have aligned in our lives to help us get there? What are our community or organizational connections? What are our societal structures that we're really needing to participate in the reinvention of? And at this point, if you have not noticed that the society we are living in across the globe is in a state of some kind of reinvention, and some of the reinvention means it's going back to things that were very old, that worked, right? So we have to consider where, as we have experienced all this Capricorn energy, where there's some solid foundations that we can still build with and others that need to be innovated, right? The other thing is to remember that because this is, again, that fixed air energy, this is the mind and the intellect. So our idea is really at work. Now, we're going to see how the emphasis of Mercury and Pluto play further into this, but I want to get into the tighter aspect breakdowns. And if you are studying your astrology, as opposed to just listening, remember, one of the things that we want to do with every lunation that we're looking at is we want to go with what is the tightest aspect first. So the first we have is the sun and the moon, the luminaries conjunct each other here in Aquarius. But as I was sitting here getting this video ready for you, I also noticed that Vesta is here at 9 degrees of Scorpio. And I didn't pull it on the chart because I just noticed it as I was getting ready. But this is the next tightest aspect. I know we're very excited about Jupiter. We're very excited about Mercury, Pluto, right? But I think that Vesta plays an absolutely massive role in what we're being shown here. So just a quick recap on Vesta, just in case you are unaware of it, but Vesta is considered to be the sacred flame, the goddess of hearth and home. You know, in Vesta, we see this representation of our own sacred inner fire, and that fire really fuels what I'm focused on, what I'm willing to be devoted to, my sense of purpose, my sense of being, right? Now, the other thing I think is important here is that because Vesta shows that much devotion, it shows where we are the most committed or where we feel the most called to, maybe protect is a good word, but certainly to nurture what is really good, pure, holy, and whole about ourselves. So think about that, you know, even as we're looking at just this particular aspect in the astrology. First of all, where is Vesta at in your chart? Where is 9 degrees of Scorpio in your particular chart? Make sure that you have your chart so you can see where these aspects are at. Where do you have this devotion, this deep dedication to some kind of cause, a goal? Maybe it's even a principle that has been long standing for you. Where do you, or where are you finding that you have this need for a little bit of solitude, or you need to like have a stronger sense of boundaries? I think about Scorpio and that water energy, a stronger sense of boundaries. And it's really about, you need a place to preserve your own energy and go there to have some kind of clarity. That's what that Vesta and Scorpio is about, because it's the alchemy of how you channel your personal passion, your personal devotion into this service for other people over here in this Aquarian vibration, right? Because that Scorpio energy, it is about deep, sacred intimacy, that need to really dive deeply into relationships, to merge not only emotionally, but I think spiritually with other people as well. It's an intensity, but it's the kind of intensity that says if we're not doing this kind of merging, we can't really get access to the regeneration. We can't have that experience of letting go of what no longer serves us in order to give birth to something that is more innovative, more authentic. So this aspect in itself also brings my attention to the fact that there is a focus with this lunation on some kind of hidden information, right? Vesta, and certainly Scorpio, Vesta in Scorpio, is going to have a passion, a drive for uncovering something that is hidden. Maybe it's hidden, it's a hidden truth, okay? Or maybe it's just something that's really taboo. Maybe you hold a different opinion than the people, places, and things that you have been around for a long time. So it feels kind of taboo or outsider to actually hold that opinion. But it's also going to bring up, I think, this discovery of needing to work on what is in the shadow space? What is keeping you from actually sharing this new thought, this new set of opinions? Now, let's talk about how the square actually impacts this. Now, the square here is going to bring this tension. This is a fixed square. So both sides of these aspects, right? Both sides, that Aquarian energy, I've had fixed thinking, a long-term set of ideas in my mind, and fixed water, my emotional life, my commitment, my devotion has been in this direction for a very long time. And this square is going to bring the tension between these two energies, right? This progressive, future-oriented Aquarian vibration, and then Scorpio's desire to really delve deeply into the midst of other people in this transformation. So this aspect we can see challenges us immediately to reconcile our need for having this collective innovation and this collective fitting in with our own private, sacred ideas, feelings, beliefs, and commitments. You know, because that Aquarian energy wants to move forward. It wants to have that innovation. It's like, yeah, let's work collectively. And Scorpio, that Vesta, is like, I really want to focus quite deeply on my own transformation, my own emotional authenticity. So it can feel like, honestly, I think if we drop below the level of intellect, it can feel like being torn between your head and your heart, or between detaching from some of the things that are going on in the world and the collective, and then diving into them really, really fully in order to make some kind of impact. But I want you to keep in mind what Vesta in Scorpio is actually giving us some encouragement about, and that is to honor. Really honor what you are deeply devoted to. What do you really, really feel and believe that is in alignment with your own deep, intimate being, right? And while the Aquarian energy is going to ask us to question whether or not those devotions still serve us, if they still serve us, which allows us to be in our purpose and serve the highest good of collective, that it is still a call to honoring. Start where we're at. What do you believe? What's current for you right now? And also to do a little bit of the shadow work. This is my private being versus what makes me fit in public. This can be a challenge, right? So, what is that shadow work? Because Scorpio's intensity here is going to want to dig. It's going to force us to face the shadows, our fears, our power struggles, the emotional blocks that we have, while that Aquarian energy is going to ask us to share those shadow beliefs in order to grow for the good of all of us. We have to collectively look at where we've been in a state of shadow and it's stopping us from growing. So, how this square in a very practical way, just this one aspect alone, I think we can look at, or we can write about or focus on how this is going to really resonate for us is, first of all, ask yourself, are you, are we truly committed to what we claim that we value? Right? And I know that this is something that is going to be coming up in my life. I have some commitments and obligations that I'm on the hook for. And it turns out that my behavior demonstrates that I don't actually value those as much as I thought that I would, or as much as me saying I'm committed to it. This is, something important to me would be. Now, something else you can consider is, where are you holding on to old patterns? This is probably in that scorpionic kind of vibration, but it's preventing you from embracing the progress, that liberated future, that freedom that Aquarius is trying to bring us into. And where can you reconcile these things? So, have an opportunity here with just this aspect alone to reevaluate your commitments. Are you pouring into something or someone that is actually just draining you? It's draining you. This devotion, sometimes with Vesta, we see where devotion just turns flat out into obsession, and there's no actual boundaries there to help this stay really healthy. But this is where we can lean a bit more, I think, to the Aquarian side and detach a bit. Detach at an intellectual level and just look at what's going on in your life from a higher perspective view and say, okay, let me detach from this so that I can see what's really going on here. Now, I think that this is a massive piece of the story as we are here at this particular point in the journey. But there are more aspects to be considered as well. Now, the next thing that we want to consider is what is more closely going to be in connection as well with this lunation. And the lunation is going to step in to this trine with Jupiter. Now we see the trine and it's like, okay, good. Woo, a nice, easier aspect or some nice opportunity that is available to us. Now, keeping in mind that Jupiter is retrograde and we're not going to see Jupiter come out of retrograde until we get to February 4th, we are still working with this it's a reflective kind of energy, a reflective tone, if you will. And it's going to give us that encouragement to revisit old ideas or projects or things from the past and consider how or if they currently align with our longer or more broad term goals, I guess I would say, because the trine is going to open up opportunities for, first of all, this is an air trine. it's going to open up opportunities for mental breakthroughs. Sometimes you have to have a breakdown before you have a breakthrough, but I think this is straight up breakthrough kind of information, especially in all of the areas that have to do with communication, education, technology, social media, these social places. So expect at this lunation a fair amount of aha moments where you go, oh, and it can be things where it's like, this is a seemingly minor detail, but it has so much significance and helps you gain momentum in what you were thinking about, and I think about it in this vision, a writer who is like revamping this old manuscript, but they've got a new perspective on what they've been writing about or what they're talking about. And that small little switch of perspective is what actually turns it from just a book that was going to be self-published into something that's a bestseller, right? Or in technology, I think that globally we are definitely going to find out a fair amount of information about things happening in the technological space, because it's going to be information that we just didn't know or we couldn't quite get to before. So let's make a little bit of space to see where that is playing out for us for sure. Now, in terms of getting this information, the digging, the going back to, do I really value these old ideas or commitments that I have? We cannot miss out on the fact that we've also got Mercury and Pluto in conjunction here. This is going to be massive because the Mercury-Pluto conjunction, though it's not actually, for me, this is too wide of an orb, but we do see a stellium happening here, so we have to pay attention to it. So while I wouldn't consider exactly conjunct this new moon, some people use a wider orb, so they would consider it conjunct. It's right there. We cannot miss it, right? And Mercury and Pluto together, they want to dig. They want to dig deep. They want to go into hidden knowledge, hidden truths. They want to bring those buried truths to the surface, to the light of day. So I would be expecting conversations here that are really about power, about control, about about collective respect, sure, certainly collective responsibility, but also it's like we just couldn't make any progress without having this information come to the surface. So thinking about how this information is going to shift or transform our own thinking, it's an energy that I think supports us in having new innovative ideas, in being that future forward-minded energy, having more visionary thinking. But it may also bring fears to the surface. Information has to come to the surface for us to correct our thinking, okay? Now, I want to look next at what is the ruling planet, or planets in this case, of this lunation doing, because they're going to hand us a signature as well. So down here we see that Uranus, being one of the ruling planets of Aquarius, is still retrograde in the vibration of Taurus. And we'll see that Saturn's in a Pisces stellium as well. But starting first with Uranus, Uranus plays a part in this lunation as well, because it's beginning to vibrate with its stationing energy just tomorrow, which means that it is getting ready to turn direct. So we're just here in the vibration of it getting ready to turn around. It's kind of this sense to me that as this lunation is happening and playing out, it's just behind Uranus's back. It's just before Uranus can really see clearly. But the fact that we are moving towards that stationing direct, it's again this signal that there is this breakthrough energy after months of internal, external reevaluation, certainly an internal reevaluation, because with Uranus retrograde, it's getting us to crave that internal freedom so that we will create those external circumstances that allow that freedom. So this is a breakthrough where I tell you, expect sudden changes or surprises, right? Expect them to occur, particularly around Tauran things around finances, things around agriculture and your food, things around relationships, technologies, whatever it is. The new moon intention here, considering that Uranus is going to be making this shift, it is about that freedom. But it's also a signature to us that as your new moon intentions are playing out, they might be just a little bit delayed. But as soon as Uranus also starts moving forward and makes its progress, you could be seeing results of what you are asking for. Those seeds that you are planting right now, they come to fruition really, really quickly. Now, I will say, if you guys haven't heard about it in the weekly video just yet, in our monthly videos, we're going to be welcoming a new feature called the Mundane Minute with Dan Waits, who is a mundane-only astrologer. So he's out there watching the global currents for us, all countries, all of the things unfolding throughout history and in the world. So we'll be bringing you some information. And we've definitely discussed the fact that this lunation at the end of January is going to bring some surprising global events. You know, we could see more volatility happening in the financial markets. We especially, you know, like rapid shifts in what's going on with cryptocurrency or global currencies in general. We're going to see more innovations in sustainable farming, renewable energy, these kinds of things, you know. So let's watch to see where these start making headlines. But personally, where are you also seeing these innovations come around? And once that Uranus is direct heading into February, they start happening quite quickly. Now, I don't want to forget to look at the other ruling planet of Aquarius, which is Saturn, that is sitting over here inside of a nice stellium. Now, while there's no direct connection to the lunation by major aspect, we can see here that you can't miss out on it. This is a stellium of Piscean energy, right? So we've got Saturn, Venus, Neptune, and the North Node, big deal kind of energy in this particular place. Now, Saturn in Pisces is already lending its space to some kind of spiritual grounding or spiritual knowledge and acting or being of our higher selves, right? So it's lending its structured approach to creativity, to spiritual goals. And I think just by proxy, it's going to help balance out this new moon's really futuristic mindset of where are we going next? How do we progress? With having some emotional sensitivity, some spiritual sensitivity into how we're going across things. And it's very much so this idea of, yes, I have this belief or I have this idea or ideal. I also have enough amplified compassion to see another perspective where someone else is coming from. You know, very much so this idea of if I came from where you came from, I would think that way as well. And I also think that this pours in enough of that compassion for us to forgive ourselves where we have been denying forgiveness, safe passage, empathy, and especially at a collective level. You know, where do we need to have some healing and some forgiveness so that we can have a universal connection that is firing on all cylinders as well? So globally, I was thinking about what does this Pisces stellium, especially with the North Node, speak to there? And really globally, one of the things I was thinking of, and you may be an active participant in this, but it's where is there going to be new art that comes to the surface that helps us have this breakthrough in a collective way, that shows where we are at in this spiritual time. You know, where are we going to have more breakthroughs that show up in terms of mental health or mental health care, immunity care, things like that? Where are we going to have more increased focus on helping or understanding vulnerable populations based on all of the information that is rising to the surface? I think that it's going to be a really intense kind of energy, but it's really necessary. And some of the things that will usher that in, of course, are going to come from this Aquarian stellium that we see here, you know. Because while it's got all this innovation of Aquarius, it can also be volatile because we've got some of that in the mix. You know, the breakthroughs will come through technology. Major breakthroughs where we see more of what AI can do or more of what space exploration is available, more about aliens or other life beings. And we know it in a different way now, not in a sense that we know it, but we know it, right? We're going to see more about what's going on with the disruptions that are happening in the climate systems. And these may prompt us or give us an urge to look at how to make things more sustainable, but it's very urgent, right? It's very quick. We're going to see more social movements happening globally. It's not going to be in just one place. It'll be global. And these will come from things from the financial markets, power structures, all of these kinds of things will send this, I think, to the surface. So when we're looking at this energy, you know, one of the things I want to again encourage you to do is to plant your seeds of intention wisely. Be wise with who and what you're going to allow to speak and bring content and information and energy into your life, because for good or for ill, what you are planting at this lunation is going to take root and grow. Stay flexible. This is Aquarius energy. Whenever we get Aquarius or Uranian energy involved, you know, Uranian energy shifts our perspectives, or it brings these unexpected things. We've got to stay flexible so that you can be that rod that bends, that doesn't break. Embrace truths that come, because like it, dislike it, that Mercury Pluto is going to bring information, including the deep introspective information about our own thoughts and our own rightness, our own self-righteousness, right? Where we maybe have to rethink it. And then we're bringing in this massive practice of compassion. There has to be a balance between the intellectual pursuits and the forward-minded progressiveness and heart-centered actions that we are taking on. Now, when we talk about how this is going to play into a cycle and that it's not just from new moon to new moon, we are talking about this 27-month cycle of all of these changes coming to the surface for us. And it starts here. You're starting your cycle here. January 29th, this is the new moon time. You're planting those seeds of intention. You're beginning the cycle here. So begin wisely. Now, when we get to October of this year, 2025, now we're going to be in the first quarter time. So we will see things really picking up. And I'm telling you, come October, people, places, and things are going to fall out of your life so quickly that you cannot believe it. And my encouragement to you is to remember that in the first quarter time, from October 25th of 2025 to July of 2026, that you are a builder. You have to be future forward minded. What are you building? Construct it, build it, build it, build it, and let the universe do the heavy lifting. Don't reach out for people, places, and things that are falling out of your life. When we get to that October time frame, if they do not fit the vision and the energetic stamp of what you have planted at this lunation, they are not for you anymore, right? And instead it gives you an opportunity to just build with what is for you and to practice this trust that the universe knows how to properly weed the garden of your life based on a request that you have made. Then we get to that July of 2026 energy, and we're going to see that we have a full moon. This will be when you're going to pivot in this cycle. You're going to celebrate what you built, but you're also going to pivot because you will have built something, and now you need to see what still needs to stay and what needs to be surrendered. And when we get to April of 2027, this is the last quarter time. It's going to be time to release it. What you're calling in now, as you build it, you work through it, you grow through those lessons, you make the shifts and the changes, you trust the universe. It's going to be time to turn away from it and bring it to a closing as we get to April. So big cycle ahead of us, lots of energy going on. There's a fair amount of tension that's still on the table with Mars not only retrograde, but also out of bounds. So I just want to, remind you that a great way to work with this energy and all energies is, first of all, going to be to look at where you can be aware that the new moon is challenging us to align our personal goals with the collective progress. Be aware that this is genuinely a feeling that we're all taking on, and that you're going for a call of freedom plus stability. All right, beautiful friends, make sure you check the description box down below where I've done a short breakdown of what it means for each of the individual houses. So you're going to want to make sure you have your chart and you see what house this is happening in for you. And it's just going to give you a short potential outcome of how this energy may present itself for you and how you can work with it. Of course, if you are not ready to be your own astrologer or you need a little bit of guidance, come see me, book a spot in the description box down below. I love you guys a ton. Watch this video next right here so that you can learn a little bit more about what the new moon in the houses even looks like. And then actually check out this other video too, so you can see what the full moon through the different houses manifests for us, because we're going to have a full moon coming up in Leo as soon as we cross over into the vibration of February. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.